Hello, my name is Greg Gallipo. I'm the CEO and Chief Architect of RePoint Technologies. Today I'm here to talk to you about our iSharePoint implementation that our consulting services have provided for a few clients. I hope you find it valuable in showing how you can enhance SharePoint to be a personalizable portal for your end users. We are calling the solution iSharePoint because we took the best parts of iGoogle and mixed them with the best parts of SharePoint. Now I know iGoogle is a product that was pulled off the shelf by Google. It used to be used for Google home pages. It allowed users to personalize their home page. So why are we building a site to replicate something Google pulled from the market? Well, the reason is the concept works more as an internal business portal than an external website. SharePoint is the best internal portal technology on the market. So by combining these techniques, we get a really cool website that combines the best of both worlds. The business SharePoint internal portal with a personalizable user interface for the end user. So before we start, let me first tell you about the technologies we are using. First, you're looking at Oracle VirtualBox. It's what we use to develop. We call it local virtual development. The reason is SharePoint needs to be developed on a SharePoint server when you're doing full trust code solutions. So we use local virtual machines to do our development. The solution is all SharePoint. I personally use SharePoint Enterprise, but the techniques we're going to show you could work for a regular SharePoint site also. We use a lot of JavaScript, jQuery, and CSOM, where CSOM is the client object model for SharePoint. We also use a lot of WCF services, Windows Communication Foundation. They are all REST-based, and we store them on our SharePoint server in the iSAPI folder, so SharePoint is hosting our REST services for us. I highly suggest you familiarize yourself with the techniques of JavaScript, jQuery, CSOM, WCF. These help you take SharePoint above and beyond the capabilities that you know and love about it. Also in SharePoint 2013, they become crucial to the new SharePoint 2013 app model. Now what you're looking at right now is SharePoint 2010, but what I'm going to show you can be done for SharePoint 2013 also. However, it does need to be done on-premise because we are using full trust coding techniques, so this will not work in Office 365. So first, let's take a look at our site. As you notice, we've customized the master page and we've branded it for a particular client. I did drop my logo on this one, even though it doesn't match the color scheme of the particular client we are branding it for, but that was just to get my logo and part of this demo. Added some fun things, nice little weather here. You can change your location, your zip code. You see a nice little menu bar that is really the out-of-the-box SharePoint menu bar and that we've customized. And then in the main content of the site, you'll see some static content. Welcome to our site. That is just a publishing content error SharePoint right out of the box. We have a right rail. Once again, it's just a web part error. You could drag and drop SharePoint web parts there, static web parts. You could show content, queries, anything that SharePoint has. It's really for the SharePoint admin and the content managers to put things here to display to the end user. And then you'll notice a really blank space in the middle. This is our personalizable area. This is an area that end users can add their own personalizable web parts to. So web parts that only they see, that the other users won't see. Now, the way we did that is we took a SharePoint page layout and we just marked that zone, that center zone, as personalizable. Now, this is all out of the box in SharePoint. But what we've done is really enhance the user interface to make it easy for end users to add web parts. And you'll see this in our little widget tray over here. When you look at this tray, we have defined the web parts we want the end user to see. So if I want to add a calculator to the screen, I just click calculator. If I want to add my little notes web part here, we also built a little task roll-up. We have a bunch of web parts that our consulting services have mastered out of the box that work for most SharePoint implementations. You just click them on the screen. So this is a mix of what SharePoint gives you out of the box. So why did we overhaul the user interface for this? Well, the reason is the regular personalizable aspects of SharePoint where a user can personalize their page is the process of the end user coming here and clicking personalize on this page. It goes into the SharePoint edit mode, and then they have to add a web part to the page and use the SharePoint add web part system. Now these techniques of the SharePoint edit mode and the add web part system are really admin techniques. You need to be trained in how to use them. It's very hard for a regular end user to utilize that functionality. I've never really seen it used in practice that much by regular end users. It's hard for them to find it. Once they do get to the web part tray, could be up to 50 web parts in there for them to pick from based on what features are turned on. And they're really only admin know what those things are used for, or content managers or power end users for SharePoint. So our requirements are to really simplify that. Make it a one-click solution where we get to define which web parts show up for the end user. Make it really, really simple. The way we did that was a simple SharePoint list. We come back here, we have our icons menu list, and that's where we add our icons menu. We put the image we want to show that they'll click on. Now, you'll notice that all the images are exactly the same path, because we're using a technique called sprites. This really increases performance. It's one big image with a lot of little images, like a grid kind of layout, and you position it what you show. And then there's another icon on, and then we mark the web part that we are going to show over here. So this is just our dot web part. So then what happens is, this is a custom web part we built called our widget tray. Now we can rename it for anyone based on the requirements of the end user. Widget was just this particular client. And it pulls from that list and it shows the icon. And then when someone clicks on one of the icons, what we do is we use reflection based on the web part name to dynamically generate the web part and add it to the user's personalized web part gallery of this page. This is the same exact thing SharePoint does if you would have went to personalize this page, hit add web part, went to the web part tray through that convoluted method. So all we've done is replicate what SharePoint's doing, but we did it in a really simple end user way, so end users can really simply add web parts to the screen. So we're very proud of this. We think it's a really cool idea. We see many advantages from a maintenance point of view and from an end user personalization and training point of view. So users can really pick and choose what they want to show on their screen. As you notice, you can mix the concepts. Our right reel still has our static stuff, and in the middle, we allow the personalization. Now, we took this to another level when we made these web parts now sortable. So what I mean by sortable is I can move them around really easy. And when I refresh the page, they stay in that order. So how did we do this? Well, first, we used the jQuery sortable to allow you to move the divs around the page. And then what we did is when the sorting finished, we used CSOM, which once again is the client-side object model of SharePoint, to reset the order behind the scenes. So we're basically using JavaScript behind the scenes asynchronously so the end user never sees us resetting the order. Now luckily, SharePoint does have an order to their web parts in a zone. But once again, the out-of-the-box way to do it is convoluted. Only really an admin knows how to do it, where you edit the page, go to the web part properties, set the order number. So we made it really simple through the jQuery drag and drop sortables. Really simple for end users to sort. The web parts are also resizable. So as I'm adding some notes here, do a demo, and let's say I add a couple more notes, test, and we're just going to get this to get to a scrolling. Oh no, there's a scroll bar for the end user. The end user can actually resize this, right? And once again, we're using jQuery resizable to do that. And once again, when the resizing stops, we're firing off a JavaScript method to do the resize. Now, little trick we did here, the CSOM for SharePoint technically doesn't let you change the height of a web part. So we actually built a custom WCF service to allow us to do that and work against the SharePoint API. Lastly, let's add one more web part to here. Let's add our bookmarking web part. We're using a framework called Masonry. What Masonry allows us to do is it works like, it's named Masonry for a reason, it works like tiles. It's trying to fit the best possible layout for you. Now typically, with divs and HTML, when you move things around like this, there would be a big white empty space here because divs float underneath. Masonry is a JavaScript tool we use that attempts to find the best possible layout and move things to fill the empty white space. So as you can see, the end users get a really nice way to make their screen work for them. Whatever they need, they can make the screen work for them in the best layout possible for their screen resolution, for their personal needs, for everything. They can easily take web parts off the screen when they don't want to use them. Maybe I don't want a calculator on my screen right now. I'll remove it, and it works really quickly and really simple. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. We got jQuery sortable, jQuery resizable, masonry. So how did we accomplish this with SharePoint web parts? Well, it wasn't easy. SharePoint builds its web parts on a table framework. But all these frameworks that I showed you, jQuery sortable, jQuery resizable, masonry, they work off of divs. The reason is for accessibility and W3C standards. Now, accessibility, also known as 508 compliant in the government world, and W3C standards, which is the World Wide Web Consortium, both have standards that say that the layouts of the page should be built by divs, not tables. It's good practice. It helps with your accessibility. It helps with a lot of things. So all these frameworks work on that principle. But SharePoint builds its web parts in tables, and there's some reasons for that. So what we had to do was actually override the rendering of the SharePoint web parts. So we didn't change the web parts, the code. We changed the wrappers from tables to divs. And we did this with a technique called control adapters. Now, not a lot of developers know you can do this. You can actually change the rendering. Control adapters is part of the .NET framework. This control adapter technique is used by a lot of third-party accessibility products to increase the accessibility of a site. So, in essence, by making divs our web parts, we've not only given us the ability for all of these nice little JavaScript functions of sorting, masonry, resizing, we've also made our site much more accessible to the end user, which is a great thing because people with screen readers and other disabilities will be able to use our website much better than out-of-the-box SharePoint. Now, just to prove that we've done this, what I'm going to do real quick is show you our backend HTML. So let's look at one of our web parts. Notice nice divs, divs within divs. Typically, when you look at SharePoint, it's tables within tables within tables when they wrap their web parts. This is nice, clean HTML. Very easy to read, very made with standards. It's going to upgrade with browsers very nicely. A lot of maintenance advantages to doing HTML like this. So I hope you can see the advantages we produce by utilizing the underlying SharePoint framework, but increasing the personalization for end users. Now, we are not going to share code in these webcasts. The point is to show you what can be done with SharePoint and the implementations by RePoint Technologies. If you'd like this solution for your organization, please contact RePoint Technologies at admin@repointtech.com for a quote. Here's our contact information. We're going to follow up with videos from this webcast showing our messaging and quick link system. We think there's some great things here for a portal functionality that can be reused at many organizations. But for now, we are finished with this demo. And once again, please contact us if you have any questions. Thank you.